Hello, it's Jesse here. We're going to work on rebuilding a Model 61 two-brush Harley Davidson generator. Um, I've already wire brushed it down and got all the scaly rust onto the outside. And we need to take it apart because it's not functioning. So that's the whole purpose of the rebuild here. Now, mostly it's a combination of maybe one or more things. It could be the brush is causing it, but that's not the case, because I already tested that part, and I think the armature is actually bad in it. But anyway, I'm going to replace the armature, and then I'm going to replace the field coils inside here, and then I'm going to put a new set of brushes in it, possibly. And then I'm going to change the front bearing. I believe it's good, but I'm just going to do an upgrade so it doesn't let any oil in. So it's going to be a sealed bearing. And the back bearing here, well, I think it is good, but I don't have one to replace it, so I'm hoping it's good. But I won't find out what I'll need until I start turning it apart. So I could possibly need body bolts to hold the main body together, and I could possibly need the pull shoe screws here, depending on if I can get them out without getting them damaged. So stay tuned as I get working on this Model 61 generator rebuild. Okay, so let's get started here. First off, this is an early Model 61, I believe, because it has a cast iron rear commutator cover, and it has a cast iron front bearing holder. And yeah, so I mean, what I can tell is because it's older, think later 61, it has aluminum back here, so the magnet doesn't attract to that. Magnet sticks to that, and magnet doesn't stick to this. Now, this is iron because it's rusty, and the magnet sticks to it. Magnet, and the magnet sticks to this. Also, the fronts are different. Earlier ones have more of this recessed area right over here. This bolt is splined, so there's no reason to don't be trying to put a socket on the front here and turn it, because you'll just damage the screw. And on the later ones, it's different. See if I can get this off without destroying it. The later ones, see how that's got just a hexed recessed area there for the screw to go in? So I'm going to be restoring this generator, make it work again, to use on my 1940 UH. I'm going to do an upgrade to a two-brush generator style system. So in a different video, I'm working on the conversion for that, but so I'll mainly stick to just a rebuild of a 61 generator. So, but anyway, to get started here, we need a 7/16 wrench to take the nuts off the end. Then we'll just push these bolts out, and then the body can come apart in 3 different pieces. We'll have a commutator end, the main body, and then the front cover. And then we'll work on that. We'll work on taking the pull shoe screws out. They're peened in right over here. See that? It locks it so it doesn't come loose. I'm not going to repeen it, so what I'm probably going to do is end up using like red Loctite, and then that way it doesn't come out. We don't want it to come loose at all. And yeah. And then we just got to make sure that we clean this slot out really good with all the grime that's in there, so we can get a nice fitment of the screwdriver when it goes in there. I'll be using an impact hammer driven impact wrench to get it out. And so just getting it cleaned up here, finished up right here, and we'll start taking this thing apart. So stay tuned. Alright, so let's get started here. First off, we're going to take the nuts off the back here. Now we can take the main body bolts out. Yep. Anyway, be careful with these things because, like I said, they're splined, so we don't need to be cranking on the other end of it. All right, so there we go. Now we're gonna take these bolts out here. All right. All right, well, stay tuned as we move to the next step here. All right, with the nuts off the end here, it's all loose, so we're just gonna take the cover off the end here. We're gonna take the oil deflector off. I'm gonna turn around and just take this thing and set on this little cardboard tube here that's kind of like a stand, so I can work on it in a vertical position. So next we'll work on messing with this commutator here where the brushes are at, brush holder and stuff. So all right, so stay tuned here. All right, so commutator cover, end cover. So yeah, like I said, this is an earlier one. This one over here, this aluminum one, has a different seal set up right here. This has an actual seal that goes all the way, covers this whole thing up. It's a big one. The one over there, this one, has a small seal that's like kind of built into the bearing, and it doesn't have a big old grooved out area like this. And this has the Harley Davidson part number stamped in it, casted into it. And not really too much going on here. Well, it really can't inspect the bearing very well, but it looks like it's kind of decent. I'm gonna probably try to check it out here. Just gonna put like the armature on it and spin it around and see how it looks. Then look at the actual armature end here itself. It doesn't look scoring. It doesn't look like I have any scoring or anything on it. So that's fortunate. So, and the seal is not hard. I can feel it when I press on my nail or whatever here. I can feel it's rubbery. I don't want to damage the sealing surface. But anyway. So this looks like it's going to be pretty good to use. Oil deflector. Looks like it's got a little bit of some pitting, but it looks like it's in the right shape. There isn't too much to be concerned about with these either. So, and then yeah, so we'll work on taking this brush holder off. Usually they're on there pretty good, so it's gonna take a little effort to get it off probably. Oh, here it goes. It's going. But we gotta remove this nut off the top here and move this wire out of the way. So, and I don't think I have the wrench out here. No, I sure don't. Okay, well, stay tuned here. All right, so I got the right wrenches here. It's a 3/8 wrench, and this is a post that's held together with this bottom nut here to the brush holder. So we got to hold that so we can loosen the top nut. So we don't want to like mess up the stuff. So it's gonna take two hands here. We just put the wrench on there. Oh, unless it stays for me, and then we just like get on here and back this top one off. So it actually freaking worked. So okay, well, it's easier with two hands, but kind of recorded this too, you know. So all right, so that nut's removed. Now we can pop the wire up and move it off to the side here. Just hook it behind something here so it stays out of the way. All right, now we can take this brush holder off. The brushes come out, and there it is. It's removed. So now we can take the main body off the front bearing end. You could do it the other way, but you still gotta take that apart anyway, so it's better to have it like, I don't know, I felt like it's better to have it that way. So now we'll just take it and I'll set it back on my little stand over here, bring it over here, and see if we can get this pushed out. There we go. So there, now we just removed the armature and stuff from there. So then we'll be able to start working on taking the field coils out and then putting them back in, removing the armature, replacing that bearing if we need to. Probably will anyway. And then replacing the armature. So stay tuned. Alright, so if I go to impact drive these out with a handheld hammer driven impact wrench, I'll probably end up messing the screws up because there's a little bit of some material engaged into the slot there. So I'm probably going to have to go in there with a cutoff tool, like a little motor tool, and come in here and remove some of that. That way it can turn instead of being held up and then end up getting damaged and stuff. If I have to replace the screws, I have to replace them. It's not a big deal. It's just that don't need to create any more damage. So, and then either holding it in with either blue or red Loctite should do the trick, just as long as you don't get an excessive amount in there. So stay tuned while I clean that up a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to work on removing some of that excess material that's in the slot. Without damaging it too much. Alright, so I just got done banging it loose there with the handheld impact driver there. So now I'm just going to put some penetrating fluid in there, just a little bit to get into the crevice there, so it actually seizes up or releases any seized up material between the screw and the body and the pull shoes itself. So there we go. Let that absorb a little bit. And then we'll go on to the other side now. So we'll just flip it over. See if we get this one loose. Alright, so I got this one to move a little bit. I could tell. It was sitting over here on this little dimple. Now it's over here. The screw was messed up before I started. But I'm trying really hard not to make it worse. Because once it starts to go, it's really hard to keep it from growing anymore and damaging it worse. So to maintain that, I'm going to put some penetrating fluid on this side too. If I can get it to spray out. Oh, that works too, I guess. Can's going defunct. Alright, let that sit for a little bit. And then, gotta make sure I clean this up really good when I go to paint this thing if I get it to work again. But I'll test it after I get done building it, of course. So, anyway, I'll let this sit for a little bit. And then I'll try wrenching them out again with the driver. So, stay tuned. Alright, so move the body out of the way and work on messing with this armature here. I had this apart a little while back. I replaced the seal on this end. I'm just trying to get it out there without damaging it. I think I'm okay yet. So this got a new seal in it because it was kind of leaking and it was hard as rock and needed replaced. So then I started messing with it and never did get it to run or work right. So the seal looks like it's in good shape yet. See the Harley part number there. It says -58. So this is an early front cover, like I was saying, front bearing part of the generator, along with the circles, of course. I was pointing that out earlier. But later, sometime they changed it to aluminum cast, aluminum end. But no big deal. Alignment pinhole here. The body has 2 alignment pins on it. It has alignment pin on this end right there, and alignment pin on this end back to here. And each end component has a hole for it to line up to, like that one does, and then there's a slot, and kind of right here, hole slot thing. So next we'll just remove this retaining ring here and pull that bearing out of there. So the bearing is good, it spins. I could leave it, but we put a sealed bearing in there, we don't have to worry about it ever. And then the seal this seal here is redundant because the sealed bearings keeping stuff from coming in anyway. So whatever it was this sleep past the sealed bearing is still going to be protected by the seal. So that it also helps just kind of keeps anything at all coming into the armature end of the inside of the body there. The armature, it looks like it's hard to tell if these are really good or not, but you can do tests on continuity between like here and here, I believe, but I'm not sure if we can do that or not. I could try it here, but I don't think this armature is any good. So, but anyway, my NOS Eagle iron Harley Davidson one right here will probably be just fine. It's a little different in its own ways, but this is actually like a real Harley one, so I mean, in consideration. So, but anyway, stay tuned as we keep working on this generator. Alright, so here's the original armature. We're going to test it and see if it's any good or not. Yeah, since we just got it out of the body, so
we're going to test all the segments for continuity to each other. They should beep on each one of these as long as you hold one probe on one, like this. Okay, so here we go.
Oh, there's a bad one. Another bad one. Okay, another bad one. Alright, we have a major bad spot. Alright, well, the armature is bad, it looks like.
Yeah, we don't have continuity through it.
Yeah.
Through the
So this one.
So that means there's some windings in there burnt out.
This would never charge.
Half of it is burnt out.
Okay, now we'll just switch out to the NOS new coil, our new armature.
Here's the new one.
All right, let's check this one out.
This is how it should work. Okay, I'm going to hold that there. They got a protective coating on it, I think, to keep it from... And now we're back to the same one.
Yeah, so we know this is a good
Everyone
armature.
works.
Yep.
We got continuity to each one.
All right, so we're ready to move on and start putting this together. New armature it is. All right, so now we're going to take this retaining ring off so we can get this bearing out. We're going to just get in here with this retaining ring remover or tool. All right, squeeze it and pull it out. Set this back up here. Now we're going to drive out that bearing. I mean, usually they kind of just come out, but it's probably going to be a little bit stuck. Unless I just push this in here like this and it comes out. No, it moved, but it ain't coming out, so it's not a big deal. So, all right. So it shouldn't take too much to get this out. So stay tuned. I'm gonna need another hand. All right, so what I did was I just put this socket on the end of this impact driver, and it's going to help me hold it for a tool to get past these bolts here, these body bolts. I don't really want to take them out. I mean, I could, but it's all right. I don't need to have them out really. So, all right, so stay tuned while I hold this and just tap on it really lightly, and the bearing will come right on out. All right, so it just popped out. So now we're gonna take this off here and check things out. Clean that up a little bit so the nice new bearing can go in there. And then there's our old bearing. All right, so the grease is all like rusty looking. It does feel okay though, but gosh, it's just, I got it apart. I mean, I just don't know why I wouldn't just replace it anyway, just because this one's more subject to getting elements in it. It just seems to be anyway. The other end's kind of covered up by a seal that goes in there, and a part that goes on the outer diameter, a clamp, covers it up really good. And then that's pretty much it for right there. Now we're going to be pretty much getting ready to take. I'm going to take the pole shoes out yet, and then we'll be pretty much ready to start putting this back together. So stay tuned. All right, so here we go. We're going to start taking these pole shoe screws out. Just gonna. It's been sitting a while, so they should be well penetrated with that fluid and cleaned up. Loosen them up. Oh yeah, they turn a lot easier now. So, there's a few more turns there and it should come out. Alright, that's one. Rotate it to the other side here. And then work on taking this one out. Alright, that's the other one. Now I just got to remove the wires off of here on the inside, and we'll be able to pull all these out as a group. So, alright. So you can see it right here, where this field coil here is attached to this terminal. And then this field coil over here is going to this terminal. So then we'll just remove these terminals now. And then put the new ones in, and we'll be pretty much ready to pop this back together. So next few steps will be putting it together. So stay tuned. Alright, so we're going to remove these brass nuts here on these terminals here. And then we can remove the bolt out of the body here. So pretty simple here. Once removed, you just push them through. There's some like fiber type insulators. Yep, just gotta get them all loose here. All right, there it goes. All right, that's external tooth lock washer off there. Alright, now we just push these through and then the wires will come out. So stay tuned here. Alright, so I put the pull shoe screws in a little bit just to hold it still here. And I'm just going to reference how these wires go. So we got this end of the coil on this side going to this terminal. And this end here, there's a wire coming out and it loops down and comes back up to this one. And then this one goes to the positive brush on the commutator. And then I think it's this wire here connects this field coil to this field coil. So it comes across from this end and comes all the way around to over to here. So, but when I go to put it back together with the new NOS coils, I want to make sure I wire it up the right way. Otherwise it ain't going to work. So stay tuned as I take out these terminals here and remove these coils here. I'm just going to lightly tap these out. It'll come right out. Just want to need a little bit of some mechanical advantage here. So these are isolators, and they're made out of like a fiber, like a not really Bakelite, but they're more like plastic in a way. But it's like, I would say like old school Kevlar, where it's like a bunch of pieces of cloth or wood or whatever pressed together and glued together. I don't know. We use these terminal pieces here. This one's stuck.
This bolt's got to come out.
Yeah, I gotta get the wire off there. Wow. Well, if I could get that isolator off, it would come right out, but it's stuck.
I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, go ahead. Alright, so I removed the terminals out. They're like some sort of fiber hardened somehow. Not really plastic, is it? I mean, it's like,
It could be plastic.
it could be plastic, but these ring ones here. They're kind of a fiber.
Yeah, it's like fiberglass.
Like maybe fiberglass or something like that. So, all right, we got them apart. Now we're gonna pull these coils out of here. So stay tuned. All right, so I'm gonna take these screws out. Alright, we have to look like we'll have to clean these up a little bit. Pull shoes. Alright, so yeah, here's the old coils. So we'll just clean up some of this a little bit on the inside for sure.
It's just a little bit of surface rust.
And surface rust on the inside here isn't really a big deal. And then as long as the mating surface is in here good and clean, that's good. And then probably just get the scale off is all. Alright, stay tuned. Okay, so I got all the scale off of here, and I cleaned up the shoes as well on the inside and the outside. And we're ready to put the coils in here. So we orientated just the way we took them out. And then
Hey, pull screw. Right here.
what I'll end up doing here is put a...
I'm not lining it up. There it is.
we're just going to get them started so we can hold them in there. And what we'll do is we'll back one out and put some Loctite on it so they lock again, because I'm not going to peen the body of the generator again. Dang, is this going or what? Jeez, I'm struggling there.
Okay, where's the other one?
Right here. There we go. So there we got all hooked up here. We just gotta make sure we get these wires in there out of the way of the armature when it spins, and we should be good to go, because this one loops across and goes up into the commutator end. So now we'll just work on the brush holder. Now we'll work on getting these locked in there with some Loctite. So stay tuned here. Yeah, so I'm not sure which Loctite to go with. I mean, we could use red, but that'd be a lot harder to ever get it out. But blue would be just as fine. As long as we don't get a whole lot on there, we should be good to go. And then we'll impact them tight. That way we can get the shoes away from the armature as far as possible, but yet still have the like 5/1000ths of clearance that's supposed to be there between the two, so they can still communicate when they're spinning. The armature spins. I think that's good. We went past where it was, but I don't know how we could get more out of it or not, but let's go ahead and go on to the other side now. There we go. Tighten it down.
I feel it compressing it.
Yeah, and what it's doing is it's just like smashing the coils up against the body.
Pressing it?
Yeah. Another nice easy trick is to use like a a tailpipe or exhaust pipe expander, and then you put it inside there, and you can you open it up, and it actually pushes the shoes across from each other out. But we didn't really need to do it with this style, but I ended up using that with the 3-brush when I ended up doing that. The 3-brush pulls shoes actually have a groove it lines up with in the body. This one didn't have it, and 3 brushes have two screws here that hold it on. This one just had one. So anyway, this is ready to go, and now we'll work on this guy here. Work on putting this together. So stay tuned here. Alright, so here's the sealed bearing upgrade. It keeps oil from coming in from the motor and going into the armature end, and also there's a seal in here also that keeps it from going in also. So it's gonna be double protected. So this is a Harley Davidson part number 9007, and it's really easy to find these updated, upgraded ones. I think it doesn't really matter which way it goes in. It's just that I want to find it. It's just gonna slide just in. It's probably gonna fight me too. It's gotta be straight, otherwise it's not gonna go in.
Where's the old? That's pretty greasy. I was going to use it to tap it in the rest of the way.
Oh yeah, that'll work. Just wipe it off. It bottoms up against
yeah, it's in all the way.
yeah, it bottoms up against the retaining ring, like this on the other side.
How are we gonna get this one out now? Big pliers.
Alright, so now we're ready to put the retaining ring on. It's right there.
Sharp edge out.
Right. That way it grips.
Otherwise, you put the rounded set out, it can pop out against thrust. Or I should say, the sharp edge to the thrust side. There it is. Good.
Alright. Okay, now we'll...
You leave the seal in it?
Yeah, we leave seal in it. That way it just protects, and then it has to ride on this edge of the armature anyway, so... Alright, so ready to put this armature in there now.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, it spins.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and put the body on here. Reference that hole here with this pin. It should just clear.
There it goes.
Let right in. No effort. Okay, now we're going to hold this wire out of the way and put the brush holder on.
Should be a hole for it somewhere.
Yeah, the slot.
Here.
So we'll...
This has got to go over here.
Yep. Probably got to reuse these brushes. They got a lot of life in them yet.
Okay.
All right, I got this up out of the way.
Got it in there. Put it in the slot.
There we go.
Wait a minute. Yep, there's the key. There's the
Groove over there for that one.
pin. There it goes.
Okay. All right, so earlier in the video, a couple times you saw this image that I had put up, that I drew this drawing here, pretty much to clarify how to wire things and what's going on here with these Model 58s and 61 generator styles. Because the original factory wiring diagram schematic looks like this up here in this book. It's really kind of hard to follow what's going on here, only because they don't go into detail with the insulators and stuff and how you're supposed to separate it, and you can kind of trace the wires around, and then it shows the armature in here, and it goes to the positive thing, but it doesn't really, it doesn't really explain into in-depth detail how the wiring gets laid out in here. And when you go looking this stuff up, it's really hard to find. It's just really not out there. There's not a lot of abundant information on this stuff, so there's a lot of digging you got to do. So to clarify it somewhat, I drew this up. So what we got going on here is we got our field coils laying in here. And of course the outer circle here is the generator body. These terminal screws are hex shaped, actually square shaped, and they go through the wire coming off the positive side here on this one. And it goes to the jumping wire that goes up to the brush holder you seen in the video. And then we have it poking through here, and this piece right here is look like this because it's got a ledge here, so it locks this from turning. Okay, but this is made out of metal. And then there's another piece of cardboard behind it, isolating it from the body. Because when you take this terminal screw here and run it through the two leads, the one off the field coil here and the one going to the brush holder, it goes directly in contact with this metal piece here. And the outer shell, the outer body is grounded, it's negative. So it has to be separated. So it's getting separated with his piece of insulator over here, like I've marked over here, cardboard insulator. Then there's the two fiber type insulators you see right here. Like one's round and one's kind of cylinder shaped. Okay, I'm trying not to confuse you here, but now on this side, with this piece being positive because it's attached to this positive one here, we have to put an insulator right here to isolate this negative terminal. Because what they're doing is they're putting this negative terminal up against this terminal screw. And it's going through this metal piece, which is actually positive from over here. And then it's going through this isolator and coming through here. So that way when you hook up your stuff from the motorcycle right to this terminal, it's getting a good feed to this coil over here. So that's what's kind of going on here. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't show that it doesn't show these pieces where they need to be laid at in this diagram up here. So it's either trial and error and you get it, but you can blow stuff up that way because you're not really supposed to run positive through both sides and try to get something to work. It's got to be isolated just right with insulators. So, yeah, so hope this helps out. But anyway, stay tuned here as I finish putting this thing together. So. All right, for just a recap here on how we wired this is we end up moving this wire over here that jumps from one coil to and connects it to another coil. And you have to route it behind the main body, one of the main body's bolts here, because it keeps it out of the way of the armature so it doesn't collide into the armature. And then, so then with the other side here, rotate it around. So one of these terminals is positive, one of them is negative. The armature is positive, the field is negative. This is our positive wire coming up that goes to the hooks up to the positive brush holder. And then inside here we have the positive side of one of the coils hooking into this terminal and the negative going into this one. And you can see that there's a cardboard piece on this one isolating it from the body. And then it comes through and comes out on this terminal here, and that's where you hook up the wires when it's in the motorcycle. So we're going to work on putting the commutator or the brush holder and commutator end, brush holder end back on here, and we'll go to that. I just wanted to take it back apart just to show you that. So stay tuned as I go ahead and put this together here, and I'll show you how to hook that up. Alright, so the brush holder. Now, this only goes on one way. This style does. Sometimes there's some that have two of these notches, and you can actually switch them around. But that might be the later ones because of the 65A. I'm not really for certain all the details like that. But what we'll do is we get ready to put this on. So we got to make sure we put this notch for the wire coming up through right here. And then this notch over here lines up with this alignment pin right here. So what I'll do is get these brushes put in here. They only go like in one way. Wire goes to the back. Here's like a little groove for it to slide in. See right there? There we go. Got it. Sorry about that. It's kind of hard to see. So what I'll do is I'll put this washer here just so it keeps the brushes pushed in when I go to put this in. That way it keeps them out of the way when I go to put on the armature. So stay tuned here as I fight this and we'll come back and get ready to put it on the armature. Alright, so all I did was I needed two hands for this, but I ended up locking this nice washer here holding the brushes back. So then when I go to put it on here, it just keeps them back out of the way a little bit more conveniently. So now we're going to put this on here. We got to hook it up around this wire here. Bring it down over the body screws. And then like that. Now to get this on the rest of the way, we just got to move the brushes just a little bit more, and it'll pop past the end here on the armature. Kind of a slick one-handed way to do it. Take the washer off, of course. All right, so on this brush holder here, one of these terminals is isolated with cardboard style like isolator, and then it's these bolt here is like riveted with a cardboard piece on the other side, and this rivet on this side as well. Now this other one over here is raised to the same height as that one, but this one, you can't see it very well, but this one is not cardboard. See how it's shiny? It's metal. So when we hook this wire up, we got to hook it up to the positive one, which is the one that is isolated from the body. So now we're going to run the wire underneath here and hook it up onto this post here. And then what will happen is we keep it out of the way from the armature when it spins. And we got to make sure that these brushes aren't bent. These brush holders here aren't bent. in touching the end of the armature, of course, so there's no connectivity there. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good. So now all we gotta do here is just tighten this nut on top of here. There it goes. Tighten it down tight. Make sure when I tighten it, I'm not bringing this wire in there. So I'll just make sure I keep it held back from out of the way as I tighten this nut down. There we go. All right. Now just put this end on. We're going to line up this notch over here with that pin that's coming through the body there. All right, there it goes. All right. It should just go right on because the armature is lining up with the bearing inside there. There it goes. It's down all the way. All right, then all you do is put the nuts back on the end here. Then we'll be ready to test it, see if it works. All right, well, stay tuned as we get ready to test this thing. Let's see if we can paint it and use it. Yeah, of course we'll swap out gears because this is a knucklehead panhead gear. So we'll take that off and put a flathead gear on. And all right, well, I'm going to tighten the end nuts up here, and we're getting ready to test it. So stay tuned. Okay, so now that we got the end cover on here and tightened down, there's one more thing to look for. These springs in here for the brushes. You gotta make sure they're all looking like this. Sometimes they can get all bound up and bent over and stuff inside there. There's actually a curved area here for the spring to sit in when it's all compressed. And if it doesn't function right, it won't push the brush in and out as it rides along the end of the armature there. So just check for that on both of them. That way they make sure that they actually function good. It should be easy to get to if they're bound up and you already got it already together. You can just get in there with a pick sometimes and straighten them back out, or a flat tip screwdriver that'll fit inside there, and you can fix it up and get them all in order. So, all right, so let's move on to testing this. All right, so now we're ready to test. Just got done tightening up these nuts here on the end. I did put a video out a while back on how to test Harley Davidson generators, but I'm going to walk us through it again on this one because I just got done rebuilding this, of course. Just watched previous footage there to this point. So, all right, so it's a real simple way to test this. We got a power source, a battery, of course. We have some jumper cables here. We hook the negative side up to the negative terminal, positive side up to the positive terminal, and we need a jumper wire. So what we do there is we take one end of the jumper wire and hook it up to the field side, which is our negative side, negative terminal. Okay, then we take the other end of that and ground out the case by hooking it to one of these case bolts that come through. There we go. Then we take the other end of the jumper cables, the negative one, and we hook it to the the body here, the ground to the case. So we're gonna hook it to that other bolt on the top there. Next step, all we do is we just take the positive end of the jumper cables here and we touch this terminal over here on the armature side. Now it should spin if it's good. If it doesn't spin, well, there's something wrong and I gotta figure out what it is. Otherwise, figure out something else. Different generator or something, I don't know. But let's find out if it's good. It should spin. There we go. It spins. So that means it's good. Heck yeah. All that work for that. Great. So now we're ready to say that this is a good generator now. It's been rebuilt. And it's off to get it painted. So I'll end up repainting it. We'll show you that here in a minute. All finished up and done. Of course, we got to switch out the gear. Already mentioned that. This is not the flathead gear. So we'll swap out the gears here and we'll show that at the end when it's all finished up. So stay tuned. All right, so we're going to work on repainting this Model 61 generator here. We're going to put some cardboard pieces in here to guard the brush holders from getting paint in there. And we're going to paint it with some matte black epoxy. Really hard stuff. Really good stuff when it's all done. Yeah, so stay tuned here. Alright, so here's that Model 61. Just got done rebuilding. We're going to get ready to paint it. It's nice outside. It's about 75 or so. This is a nice warm temperature on this generator here, so the paint will adhere to it good and it'll just have a better finish when the item is warm compared to like if it was cold. It absorbs it somehow better. It's hard to explain, but so first off, we're going to brake clean it, get all the oil and all the stuff from when we were messing with it all cleaned off, and all the dust that has settled on it since we got done rebuilding it. So next time you see this, it'll be repainted. So stay tuned. Alright, so here's that Model 61. It just got done all being painted. Nice matte black. Looks nice, brand new again. So I'm going to work on finishing this up. Just take out my pieces of paper here that I put in here for masking. Then got some tools out here. We're going to put a new chrome cover, or not really new, it's a nice original one. Put a chrome cover on, the bracket. We'll replace these nuts in the back with some new ones. And we'll install the flathead gear in the front, along with the washer and lock nut. Now over the back here it gets like this special collar here. These are originally like plastic coated or something. This is in really good shape, so I'm not going to mess with it. I didn't want to repaint or paint it, take it off and paint it. I didn't want to do that, so this will turn out pretty good. See how it's good shape. We'll put new number 105 old part number brass nuts on here. And then what else we got? Oh yeah, then we'll tighten this clamp up here with some nice cadmium hardware, a slotted screw, a cadmium lock washer, and a cadmium nut. So stay tuned while we work on this. We ended up using this VHT high temperature roll bar and chassis paint. It's epoxy, it's self-priming, durable finish. This is amazing stuff. It's very durable. It'll last a long time. Paint a lot of my matte black parts that need to be like that with this stuff. Just got to make sure we preheat the item to like room temperature, like 60 or so degrees, and then shake it up really good, of course, and then heat the can too, get it nice and warm too, and then it just adheres to the item really nice, really good. So stay tuned. All right, so there's the new brass nuts on there. These are held in pretty good. So what I did was I just took the nut out, the old nut off, and then just ran this one down real quick, and then tightened it. don't need to kill it because you end up killing the brass nut. So just when it gets snug, pretty much good. It's a lock washer. According to the print, you're supposed to put a lock washer in there, so that's there. Helps lock that bottom retaining nut in. So now we'll move on to taking these nuts off the back here. See if I get the right size here. There we go. Probably gotta get it.
There, that's loose. Quite ratcheting.
Okay, the other one quick. All right, so let's work on putting this end cover on here. We'll stack some washers on here so we can get the mount out a little bit. Then we'll put the mount on. Then put on new lock nuts because the other ones were on and off a bunch of times, and well, it's probably better to use new ones. Right. Yeah, it should fit. Now we'll put that cover on here. This is the bottom of the generator, so the screw and stuff goes to the bottom. And then well, there we go. Now you can put that on there. I want this opening at the bottom, yeah, too, so. There we go. All right, so now we'll work on putting the gear on. All right, so this is going to be getting a flathead gear. Looks like this. It goes on this way. Just gotta find the right where it starts. There it goes. And then you just push on it a little ways, get it started. And then when you go to tighten this down with the washer here and the new lock nut there, it'll pull itself in as long as you have it lined up. Otherwise you'll destroy the gear on those machine surfaces on that armature shaft there.
Which one did this?
Yeah. Let's see if I can hold this while I do that.
Let's see it once.
Yeah, so you run it until it touches this oil deflector right here, and then it doesn't go no farther. It starts to turn the oil deflector, and then we put a gasket on it later, and then we measure the distance between the gasket and the end of this gear here, and that tells us our spec that's in the book to where it's supposed to be a certain distance, because that allows this gear to line up perfectly with the idler gear inside the gear cover. So anyway, that pretty much ends this here on the 61 rebuild, and it's ready for my 1940 flathead now. So this will be a nice addition to the bike. So hope you enjoyed this, and come back again to watch some more neat videos on this restoration and some other stuff we got going on here. See you again soon.